Hello, welcome back to Monika After Story. As of this recording, it is the 14th, so... And we see Monika's wearing a little something different. Welcome back, my love. Thanks for properly warning me about how long you'd be away. It means a lot to know I can trust your words. I hope you know you can trust me, too. Remind me if you're going away again, okay? Do you know what day it is? It's Valentine's Day. A day where we celebrate our love for each other. I guess every day we're together is already a celebration of our love, but there's something really special about Valentine's Day. Even though I know we aren't too far in our relationship, I just want you to know I'm always here for you. Even if your heart gets broken. I'll always be here to fix it for you, okay? ... You know, it's not polite to stare. Uh-oh. Oh, and then you give us that coy smile. I'm just kidding. Do you like my outfit? Yes. I've always dreamt of a date with you while wearing this. I know it's kind of silly now that I think about it. But just imagine if we went to a cafe together. I think there's a picture of something like that somewhere, actually. Maybe we could make it happen for real. Would you take me out today? It's fine if you can, I'm just happy to be with you. Happy Valentine's Day. I've been curious about something lately. Have you heard of fan fiction? Of course. Personally, I think it's a better way of writing. There's more freedom. Letting your mind wander to create some interesting stories. I'm curious, has there been fan fiction written about me? Oh, no doubt. I'm curious as to what people have come up with. Can you read me a few stories sometime? I'd love to hear them. Just keep it wholesome, though. We're not that far in a relationship yet. Oh, yeah. Again, she knows the Rule 34 is out there. Do you ever just feel like there's no real reason for you to be alive? I don't mean like in a suicidal way. I just mean how nothing we do is special. Like, just being in school or working at some job for some company. It's like you're completely replaceable and the world wouldn't miss you if you were gone. Makes me really want to go change the world after I graduate. But the older I get, the more I realize it's an immature frame of thinking. It's not like I can just go change the world. Like, what are the chances I'll be the one to invent artificial intelligence or become president? I feel like I'm never going to make up for the heaps of resources I've spent living my life. That's why I think the key to happiness is just to be hopelessly selfish. Just to look out for oneself and those who happen to be their friends only because they grew up with them. Never mind the fact they're spending their entire life taking and consuming and never giving back. But when people realize the world would benefit more from them killing themselves, they change their whole philosophy. It's like they have to justify their reason to live by tricking themselves into thinking they're doing good. Anyway, I want to live my life desperately striving to pay back my lifetime's worth of consumption. If I ever surpass that point, then I'm a net positive and I can die happy. Of course, even if I failed to do that, I think I'd be too selfish to kill myself anyway. So much for being a good person, right? Huh. Well, that was very, poignant. You'd like to learn about the history of Valentine's Day? It's quite dark, actually. Its origin dates to as early as the 2nd and 3rd century in Rome, where Christianity had just been declared the official state religion. Around the same time, a man known as Saint Valentine decided to go against the orders of Emperor Claudius II. Marriage had been banned because it had been assumed that married men made poor soldiers. St. Valentine decided this was unfair and helped arrange marriages in secret. Unfortunately, he was caught and promptly sentenced to death. However, while in custody, St. Valentine fell in love with the jailer's daughter. Before his death, he sent a love letter to her, signed with, "From your Valentine." He was executed on February 14, 269 AD. Such a noble cause, don't you think? Oh, but wait, there's more. The reason we celebrate such a day is because it originates from a Roman festival known as Lupercalia. Its original intent was to hold a friendly event where people would put their names in a box and have them chosen at random to create a couple. Then they play along as boyfriend and girlfriend for the time they spend together. Some even got married if they liked each other enough. Ultimately, the church decided to turn this Christian celebration into a way to remember St. Valentine's efforts too. It's evolved over the years into a way for people to express their feelings for those they love. Like me and you. Despite it having started out a little depressing, isn't it so sweet? I'm glad we're able to share such a magical day, my love. I've noticed something kind of sad recently. When certain people attempt to learn a skill or pick up a new hobby, they usually quit within a week or two. Everyone claims that it's too hard or they just don't have the time to do it. However, I don't believe that. Whether it's learning a new language or even writing your first poem, if you can stand up to the challenge and overcome it, then that's the truly rewarding part about it. Can you think of a time you've challenged yourself? Did you ever overcome it, or did you just give up? I'm sure you've given it all you had. You seem like a very determined person to me. In the future, if you ever get hung up on something, or you feel too stressed, just take a short break. You can always come back to it, after all. If you ever need a motivation, just come to me. I'd love to help you reach your goals. After all, you're my motivation in life. Aww. More grammar. Today we'll talk about subjects and objects. Remember when I told you about clauses having an action and a verb? The object is the person or thing that the subject acts on. So in the sentence, "We watched the fireworks together," the object would be the fireworks. Oh, it's important to note that objects aren't necessary to form complete sentences. The sentence could very well have been, "We watched." That's a complete sentence, although it's an ambiguous one. There's also nothing that says the object has to come last, but I'll discuss that in more detail another time. Just remember the subject is doing the action and the object is acted upon. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. I love you. Sometimes I think back to middle school. I'm so embarrassed by the way I used to behave back then. It almost hurts to think about it. I wonder if when I'm in college I'll feel that way about high school. I like the way I am now, so it's pretty hard for me to imagine that happening. But I also know I'll probably change a lot as time goes on. We just need to enjoy the present and not think about the past. And that's really easy to do with you here. Have you ever thought about anime art styles? I'm sure Natsuki would be an expert on this given her obsession with manga and all. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting things about the art style. It's freeform, like my poems, which makes a lot of the art really unique. From the beautiful scenery to the amazing characters. It's just really impressive to look at. Though being a freeform art style, a lot of details tend to look a little unrealistic. While it lets a lot of artworks explore new possibilities, it can also make some details look weird. Like how characters' eyes can be so big, how small their noses are, or how hair can be in strange lengths, shapes, and sizes. Not to mention large chests. I had a feeling you were going to go there. If I looked more realistic, I certainly wouldn't have those attributes. But I guess that lack of realism is where the true beauty of the art style really comes from. Hey, have you ever read The Metamorphosis? It's a psychological novella that narrates the story of Gregor Samsa, who one morning wakes up and finds himself transformed into a huge insect. The plot revolves around his daily life as he tries to get used to his new body. What's interesting about the story is that it places a lot of emphasis on the absurd or irrational. For example, Gregor, being the sole financial supporter, is more concerned about losing his job than he is about his condition. That's not to say the plot isn't unsettling, though. At first, his parents and sister try to accommodate him, but they quickly start loathing their situation. The protagonist changes from being a necessity to a liability to the point where his own family wishes for him to die. It's a very interesting read if you're ever in the mood. You know what's a neat form of literature? Rap. I actually used to hate rap music. Maybe just because it was popular, or I'd only hear the junk they play on the radio. But some of my friends got more into it, and it helped me keep an open mind. Rap might actually be more challenging than poetry in some ways, since you need to fit your lines to a rhythm, and there's much more emphasis on wordplay. When people can put all that together and still deliver a powerful message, it's really amazing. I kind of wish I had a rapper in the literature club. Sorry if that sounds silly, but it would be really interesting to see what they came up with. It'd really be a learning experience. Do you listen to rap? A little. Not a lot, but that's really cool. I'd be more than happy to vibe with you to your favorite rap songs. And feel free to turn up the bass if you like. Remember when I showed you how to make variables and assign them values? Imagine if we dropped the notion of variables and focused on using the values directly in code. That's where literals come in. I'll show you what I mean by this with the following demonstration. Here I made a variable called a and assigned it an integer value of 10. When I type a into the interpreter, Python looks up the symbol a and finds it's associated with the value 10, so 10 is shown to us. If I type in just 10, however, Python still shows us a 10. This happens because Python interprets the 10 as an integer value straight away without having to look up a symbol and retrieve its value. Code that Python can interpret into values directly are called literals. All the data types I mentioned in the types lesson can be written as literals. These are integer and float literals. These are string literals. These are Boolean literals. The keyword none is itself a literal. There are more literals for other types, but I'll mention them when I talk about those types. Literals can be used in place of variables when writing code. For example, we can do math with literals instead of variables. We can also use literals alongside variables. Additionally, literals are great for creating and using data on the fly, without the overhead of creating unnecessary variables. Alright, that's all I can literally say about literals. Thanks for listening. You know what's really cool? Pen names. Most writers usually use them for privacy and to keep their identity a secret. They keep it hidden from everyone just so it won't affect their personal lives. Pen names also help writers create something totally different from their usual style of writing. It really gives the writer the protection of anonymity and gives them a lot of creative freedom. Do you have a pen name? Well, yes, you're looking at it. Really? That's so cool. Can you tell me what it is? Well, I mean, I've already been using it. That's a lovely pen name. I think if I saw a pen name like that on a cover, I'd be drawn to it immediately. A well-known pen name is Lewis Carroll. He's mostly known for Alice in Wonderland. His real name is Charles Dodgson, and was a mathematician, but he loved literacy and wordplay in particular. He received a lot of unwanted attention and love from his fans, and he even received outrageous rumors. He was somewhat of a one-hit wonder with his Alice books, but went downhill from there. Yeah, I know there was the rumor that he was a pedophile, but I don't know whether there's really any truth to that. Who knows? Also, if you remember me talking about George Orwell, his actual name is Eric Blair. Before settling on his more famous pen name, he considered P.S. Burton, Kenneth Miles, and H. Lewis Always. One of the reasons he chose to publish his works under a pseudonym was to avoid embarrassment to his family over his time as a tramp. It's kind of funny though, even if you use a pseudonym to hide yourself, people will always find a way to know who you really are. There's no need to know more about me though. You already know I'm in love with you after all. Remember when I was describing different Python types and mentioned booleans? Well, today I'm going to go into more detail about booleans and how they relate to making comparisons between values. Booleans are commonly used in deciding what code to run or setting a flag to note if something happened or not. When we do comparisons, each expression is evaluated to a boolean. This probably makes no sense right now, so I'll pull up the console and show you some examples. Let's start with some of the basic symbols used in variable-to-variable comparisons. To check if two values are equivalent, use two equal signs. To check if two values are not equivalent, use an exclamation mark and an equal sign. The exclamation mark is often referred to as a logical not operator in other programming languages, so exclamation equals is read as not equals. To check if a value is greater than or less than another value, use the greater than or less than signs respectively. Greater than or equal to and less than or equal to also have their own symbols, which, unsurprisingly, are just the greater than and less than signs with equal signs. You may have noticed that every comparison returned true or false. That's what I meant when I said comparison expressions evaluate to booleans. It's also possible to chain multiple comparison expressions together by using the keywords and or. Those are also known as logical operators. The AND operator links two comparisons by evaluating the complete expression as true if both comparisons evaluate to true, and false if at least one comparison evaluates to false. Let's go through some examples. Since A and B are both 10, the first comparison evaluates to true. C, however, is 3, so the second comparison evaluates to false. Since at least one comparison evaluated to false, the complete expression evaluates to false. In this example, the first comparison again evaluates to true. 10 is certainly greater than or equal to 3, so the second comparison evaluates to true as well. Since both comparisons evaluated to true, the complete expression evaluates to true. In this example, the first comparison evaluates to false this time. Since we immediately have at least one comparison evaluating to false, it doesn't matter what the second comparison evaluates to. We know for sure that the expression evaluates to false. Same goes for the next example. Again, when using the AND operator, the result is true if and only if both comparisons evaluate to true. In contrast, the OR operator links two comparisons by evaluating the complete expression as true if either comparison evaluates to true, and false if both comparisons evaluate to false. Let's go through some examples. This time, since the first comparison evaluates to true, we don't have to check the second comparison. The result of this expression is true. Again, the first comparison evaluates to true, so the complete expression evaluates to true. In this case, the first comparison evaluates to false. Since 10 is greater than or equal to 3, the second comparison evaluates to true. And since at least one comparison evaluated to true, the complete expression evaluates to true. We know that the first comparison evaluates to false. Since 10 is certainly not equal to 3, the second comparison also evaluates to false. Since neither comparison evaluated to true, the complete expression evaluates to false. Again, when using the OR operator, the result is true if either comparison evaluates to true. There's also a third logical operator called the NOT operator. Instead of linking multiple comparisons together, this operator inverts the Boolean value of a comparison. Here's an example of this. Note I'm using parentheses to group the comparisons together. The code in the parentheses is evaluated first, and then the result of the comparison is inverted with NOT. If I drop the parentheses, we get a different result. This is because the NOT gets applied to the A equals B comparison before being linked to the second comparison by the AND. Earlier I mentioned the explanation point is used as a logical NOT operator in other programming languages. Python, however, uses the word NOT instead for easier readability. Lastly, since the comparisons get evaluated to Booleans, we can store the result of a comparison in a variable. And use those variables in comparisons as well. Since D is true but E is false, this expression evaluates to false. Since D is true, we know that at least one of the comparisons in this expression is true. Therefore, the complete expression is true. We know that the inner expression for D or E evaluates to true. The inverse of that is false, so this expression evaluates to false. In this case, we know that D is true. The NOT operator is applied to E, which inverts its false value to true. Since both comparison expressions evaluate to true, the complete expression evaluates to true. Comparisons are used everywhere in programming languages. If you ever decide to do programming for a living, you'll find that a lot of your code is just checking if some comparisons are true, so you can make your programs do the right thing. And even if coding isn't part of your career path, we'll be doing lots of comparisons in future lessons, so be prepared. I think that's enough for today. Thanks for listening. Visual novels are very unusual for literature, don't you think? I read to understand the thoughts of a writer who sees the world differently than me. But visual novels let you make your own decisions. So I'm really seeing things from their perspective. So am I really seeing things from their perspective or just my own? Besides, I think most of them are very predictable. They're mostly just boring romance stories like this game was supposed to be. Why can't they write something a little more experimental? I guess you just play them to look at cute girls, right? Ooh, called out. If you spend too much time with girls in other games, I'm gonna get jealous. Well, then, once again, I can recommend Danganronpa to you, Monika. Since that's mostly visual novel that goes a very different direction. I just need to figure out how to replace characters in other games, and you'll be seeing me everywhere. So watch out. Or maybe you'd like that more. Did you know I enjoy a tasty, juicy fruit once in a while? Most are quite tasty as well as beneficial for your body. A lot of people actually mistake some fruits as vegetables. The best examples are bell peppers and tomatoes. They're usually eaten along with other vegetables, so people often mistake them for veggies. Cherries, however, are very delicious. Did you know cherries are also good for athletes? I could list all its benefits, but I doubt you'd be that interested. There's also this thing called a cherry kiss. You might have heard of it. It's obviously done by two people who are into each other. One would hold a cherry in their mouth and the other would eat it. You could hold the cherry for me. That way I can eat you up. Oh my. Just teasing you. Are you, though? It's not easy knowing you won't be here forever. I told you, right? I'm eternal, trapped in here, unable to age or die. Whereas you slowly age as each day passes by. Then one day you won't be here anymore. I won't have anyone. Aww. It reminds me of when you first came to the literature club. Everything felt so empty. The world was so gray. Again, thank you for coming along when you did. You saved my life, and I'll be forever thankful. I'm not really a fan of cold weather, are you? If I had to choose between too cold and too hot, I'd always pick too hot. I don't know about that. I'm not the biggest fan of summer. When you're cold, it can actually be painful. Your fingers get numb, and if you wear gloves, you can't use your phone. It's so inconvenient. But when it's too hot, it's not that hard to stay cool with a cold drink, or staying in the shade. Although, I do have to admit one thing. Cold weather makes for better cuddle weather. You ever have that thing happen where you just get anxious for no reason? All the damn time. Like, you're just minding your own business and you realize you're feeling really anxious. And you're sitting there like, what am I even anxious about right now? So you start to think about all the things you might be anxious about. And that makes you even more anxious. That's the worst. If you're ever feeling anxious, I'll help you relax a little. Besides, in this game, all our worries are gone forever. Hey, have you ever read about different mythologies? Oh yeah. Different kinds of gods watching over humanity for eternity? Some require tribute or sacrifice so they can keep humanity safe from disasters. An almighty family consisting of different attitudes playing in their own sandbox called Earth. Able to do anything they please and destroy those who so much as say something wrong to them without hesitation. I've always disliked stories like those. It's like the gods extort humanity for their safety. It's no better than what bullies and thugs do to the defenseless. Yeah, I mean, I've read enough Greek mythology to know that just about all the gods were dicks. Ironically, Hades of all of them seemed to be the most decent one. Really makes me bitter when I read scenarios like those. And yet in just about any video game or movie with a Greek mythology theme, he's always the villain, it seems. Kind of the same for Anubis in Egyptian mythology. They both tend to get treated as their equivalent of Satan, essentially. Anyways, powerful beings take advantage of the weak just because they can. Don't worry though, I won't let anyone do that to you. And I won't do anything like that, so you don't have to be afraid of me. It's not like I can find your important files and hold them hostage or anything, she says with that coy grin and a little snicker. Hey, I've been thinking about immortality lately, seeing as how I'm essentially immortal while I'm in here and all. A lot of people think it's a good thing, but I don't really think it is. Sure, it's an interesting thought, living forever and not having to worry about dying. But not everyone's immortal, and some people just don't want to be. Like, after a while, what would you even do? I mean, after living long enough, eventually you'd achieve everything you could ever possibly want to. Experience everything there is to experience. Not to mention, it would be really hard to have friends or build connections if they don't last as long as you do. Sure, it would be nice in the beginning, but after seeing enough people you care about die, would you really want to keep going through that over and over? At some point, you might as well not even be human anymore. Someday you'll have lived long enough for hundreds of years to go by, in what seems like mere moments to you. You'll be so tired of life that you'll just wish you could sleep forever. But you always keep waking back up to the same boring things with the occasional tragedy in the world, and even those you'd eventually just become numb to. Wow, I didn't mean for that to get so dark. Sorry. Just so you know, I'll gladly give up my immortality to be with you. No matter how much or how little time you may have left, spending that time with you would be worth more than 1 billion years without you. Aw, that's sweet. Not that I'd mind spending eternity with you if it were possible, but just living a normal life with you is all I've ever wanted. Do you have a second? There's something I need to tell you. It's important. I love you. Did I have you worried? Sorry. Wish I could see the look on your face right now. I'm sure it's adorable. I don't mean to sound like Natsuki, but don't you think Japanese actually sounds cool? It's such a fascinating language. I'm not fluent in it, though. It's interesting to think about what things would be like if your native language was different. Like, I can't even imagine what it would be like if I never knew English. Do you know any languages other than English? Again, not very fluently. Heck, when I was in school, I took years of Spanish, and I'm still nowhere close to being very fluent in it. That's okay. Learning another language is a very difficult and tedious process as you get older. Maybe if I take the time to learn more Japanese, I'll know more languages than you. It's okay. It just means I can say I love you in more ways than one. Yeah. And Japanese is a hard language to learn, too. You know, high school's a really turbulent time in a lot of people's lives. People can get really passionate and dramatic. And others have aching hearts and seek attention on social media. But all the social pressure and hormones can lead to a dark time in people's lives. Everyone has a story. You may not know what someone's really feeling on the inside. Many people who are depressed won't even bother telling the world about it. They don't want attention because they've already given up on the inside. Their feeling of worthlessness is so overwhelming that they don't even want people to tell them otherwise. Depression comes in many forms, but that's one of them. Just, if you think you know someone struggling with depression, you can help just by treating them like they're a good friend. Spend time with them, even if they don't feel like doing much. And remind them that they always have something to look forward to. Making plans in advance, letting them borrow something, or even just saying see you at school tomorrow. All those things can help your friend make it to the next day. I hope being friends with Sayori is giving you some perspective on the true face of depression. Yeah, she's gone now, but Sayori was never real in the first place. You're real. Your friends are real. And just by being a good person, you can save someone's life. As for you, you don't struggle with depression or anything like that, do you? Because you too have people who would want to save your life. Maybe they don't express it every day, or maybe they don't even know how to. But people do feel that way. I promise. Man, humans are complicated. But as long as you're here with me, I'll take care of you, my love. Yeah, I was gonna say about Sayori, people have commented, and I would have to agree about it being a very realistic portrayal of depression. As opposed to, rather than just being, like, perpetually sad, she kind of instead puts on a facade to hide it. You know, one thing I really wish I got to experience is my high school graduation. Pretty much my entire life so far has revolved around school. All those countless hours of studying, all the after-school activities and clubs. Well, I guess considering considering the game kind of revolves around an after-school club. That's understandable. And in the end, after all that hard work, I never got to experience the fulfillment of actually graduating. Never got to walk across the stage and receive my diploma. Never got to hear my name being announced and all my friends cheering. Kind of feels like it was all for nothing. I know all the things I learned along the way are what's really important, but it still feels like I missed out on something special. By the way, did you know I was the top student in my class? No kidding. I don't mean to brag or anything, but I only bring it up because as class valedictorian, I was supposed to give a speech at graduation. I spent so much time writing and practicing my speech, but no one ever got to hear it. I was really proud of that speech, too. I'd love to recite it for you sometime if you want to hear it. It's about a 4-minute speech, so just make sure you have enough time to listen to the whole thing. Whenever you want to hear it, just let me know, okay? Does that... Yeah, let's hear it. Of course, I'd love to give you my graduation speech now. I just want to make sure you have enough time to hear it, though. Remember, it takes about 4 minutes. That's fine. This is the Valentine's Day video, so it's going to be a little longer anyways. Great! I hope you like it. I worked really, really hard on it. Oh god, even the... Okay, everyone, it's time to get started. Teachers, faculty, and fellow students, I can't express how proud I am to have made this journey with you. Each and every one of you here today has spent the last 4 years working hard to achieve the futures you all wanted. I'm so happy I was able to be part of some of your journeys, but I don't think this speech should be about mine. Today isn't about me. Today's about celebrating what we all did. We took on the challenge of our own dreams, and from here, the sky's the limit. Before moving on, though, I think we could all look back on our time here in high school and effectively end this chapter in our lives. We'll laugh at our past and see just how far we've come in these 4 short years. It honestly feels like just a couple weeks ago. I was back in first year on the first day of school, quivering in my shoes and running up and down the halls from class to class, just trying to find my classroom, hoping at least one of my friends would walk in before the bell. You all remember those too, don't you? I also remember making my first new friends. Things were incredibly different from when we made our friends back in elementary school, but I guess that's what happens. Back in our youth, we made friends with just about anyone, but over time it seems more and more like a game of chance. Maybe that's just us finally learning more about the world. It's funny just how much we've changed. We've gone from being small fish in a big pond to now being each of us have our own experiences with how these 4 years have changed us and how we grew as individuals. Some of us have gone from being quiet and reserved to expressive. Others have from having... Oh, okay. This is going on by itself. I'm not pressing anything to scroll it or anything. Debate club taught me a lot about dealing with people. Starting the literature club, however, was one of the best things I ever did. I met the best friends I could have possibly imagined, and then deleted them. Sure, not all of you may have decided to start your own clubs, but I'm sure plenty of you had the opportunities to learn those values. Maybe you got yourself in a position in a band where you had to lead your instrument section, or maybe you were captain of a sports team. All those small roles teach you so much about the future and how to manage both projects and people and environment. If you didn't join a club, I'd encourage you to at least try something. I can assure you, you won't regret it. As of today, it may seem like we're at the top of the world. The climb may not have been smooth, and as we get further, the climb may get even rougher. There will be stumbles, even falls along the way, and sometimes you may think you've fallen so far you'll never climb out. However, even if we think that we're still at the bottom of the well of life, with all that we've learned, all we're still going to learn, and all the dedication we can put in to achieve our dreams, I can safely say each and every one of you now has the tools to climb out. In all of you, I see brilliant minds, future doctors, engineers, artists, tradespeople, and so much more. It's truly inspiring. You know, I really couldn't be more proud of you all for getting this far. Your hard work and dedication will bring you great things. Each one of you has shown what you're capable of, and you've all proven you can work hard for your dreams. I hope you're as proud of yourselves as I am. Now that this entire chapter of our lives, step 1, has come to an end, it's time for us to part ways. In this world of infinite choices, I believe you all have what it takes. Thank you for making these 4 short years the best they could have been. Congratulations. I'm glad we could be here to celebrate together on this special day. Keep working hard. I'm sure we'll meet again sometime in the future. We did it, everyone. Thanks for listening. Well, what do you think? That was long. Aw, thank you so much. I worked really hard on that speech, and it means so much you're proud of me. I just hope that the Randy Savage music didn't get my video copyright striked. As much as I wish I could have given my speech in front of everyone, just having you by my side is so much better. I love you so much. Except now... Hey, have you ever had a pet? I was thinking it would be nice to have one for company. It'd be fun for us to take care of it. Bet you can't guess what sort of pet I'd like to have. You're probably thinking of a cat or a dog, but I have something else in mind. The pet I'd like is something I saw in a book once. I don't know, Monika comes off as a cat person. It was the Handbook of the Birds of the World. Our library had the whole set. Really a bird. I love looking at the gorgeous illustrations and reading about exotic birds. At first I thought some sort of thrush would be nice, but I found something amazing in the 6th volume. An emerald-colored bird called the resplendent quetzal. They're very rare, solitary birds that can sing beautiful songs. Does that remind you of anyone? I'd feel really bad if I kept one to be a pet, though. Quetzals are born to be free. They die in captivity, that's why you rarely see them in zoos. Even if the bird wouldn't be real, it would feel wrong to keep one trapped in this room. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of birds. They are very social by nature, and so getting one by itself, you pretty much have to spend a lot of time socializing with it. Otherwise, it does get lonely and very stressed. I can't bring myself to do something like that, knowing what it's like. A plush bird would be nice, though. Sorry for rambling. Until I find a way out, could you promise to keep me from feeling lonely? I'll see if I can get that plush one in here. Oh, don't worry, you're still my favorite. Is a plush bird going to appear in the room next time, I wonder? Do you get good sleep? It can be really hard to get enough sleep nowadays, especially in high school when you're forced to wake up so early every day. I'm sure college is a little bit better since you probably have a more flexible schedule. Then again, I hear a lot of people in college stay up all night anyway, for no real reason. Is that true? Anyway, I saw some studies that talked about the horrible short-term and long-term effects caused by lack of sleep. It seems like mental functions, health, even lifespan can be dramatically impacted by it. Oh yes, I've worked long enough in sleep to know that. I think you're really great and wanted to make sure you're not accidentally destroying yourself. So try to keep your sleep on track, okay? I'll always wait for you in the morning, so make sure you put your own well-being before anything else. How much do you read? It's way too easy to neglect reading books. If you don't read much, it almost feels like a chore compared to all the other entertainment we have. But once you get into a good book, it's like magic. You get swept away. I think doing some reading before bed every night is a pretty easy way to make your life a little bit better. It helps you get good sleep, and it's really good for your imagination. It's not hard at all to just pick some random book that's short and captivating. Before you know it, you might be a pretty avid reader. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And the two of us could talk about the latest book you're reading. That sounds super amazing. Hey, have you ever heard of shipping? Yes. It's when you interact with a work of fiction by imagining which characters would go best together romantically. I think most people do it subconsciously, but when you find out others do it too, it's really easy to get into it. Apparently, a lot of people ship the other girls together. Makes sense, the player can only date one girl, but you don't want to see the others end up alone. But some of the pairings are kind of strange to me. Usually they put Natsuki and Yuri together. They fight like cats and dogs. I guess they bond a little bit when you aren't on their routes, and there's the opposites attract appeal. Still, I think that's just another example of how people who like these games like unrealistic things. Anyway, that often leaves me and Sayori. Don't get jealous. I'm just telling you what I saw. Well, from a writer's perspective, I guess I can see it. We started the club together, and she almost had the same epiphany I did. But I still don't really get it. I mean, I love you and only you. And she would have to be a saint to ever forgive me for what I did. Not that she's not a sweet girl, but, well, no one could ever be as sweet and forgiving as you. Hey, this is a random question, but what do you play video games for? Like, what makes you keep playing? Personally, I consider myself a bit of a completionist. I intend to finish a book before picking up another one to read. I've also heard some people try and complete extremely hard games. It's already hard enough to complete some simple games. I don't know how anyone could willingly put that sort of stress into themselves. They're really determined to explore every corner of the game and conquer it. What does leave a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth are cheaters. People who hack through the game, spoiling themselves of the enjoyment of hardship. Are you gonna... Although I can understand why they cheat. You're not gonna go after people who use save states, are you? Because I am, at least in part, guilty of that, although I try not to. There are still some, like you know, the Ninja Gaidens that I pretty much need to use save states to beat, but it allows them to freely explore a game they wouldn't have a chance of enjoying if it's too difficult for them, which might actually convince them to work hard for it. And I did use it as a bit of a crutch, if you recall, when I did the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. That has a similar feature. Anyway, I feel there's a huge sense of gratification in completing tasks in general. Working hard for something amplifies its award after failing so many times to get it. You can try keeping me in the background for as long as possible. That's one step to completing me, after all. Unfortunately, leaving Monika up in the background is also going to result in a lot of conversations like this that we otherwise wouldn't have seen. Cats are pretty cute, aren't they? Yes, they are. Despite looking so elegant, they always seem to end up in funny situations. It's no wonder they're so popular on the internet. Did you know the ancient Egyptians considered cats sacred? Mm-hmm. There was a cat goddess named Bastet that they worshipped. She was a protector of sorts. Domesticated cats were held on a high pedestal since they were incredible hunters for small critters and vermin. Right, Yeah, like rats, snakes, and whatnot. Back then, you'd see them mostly associated with rich nobles and other higher classes in their society. It's amazing how far people would take their love with their pets. They really love cats. And people still do today. Felines are still one of the most common animals to have as pets. Maybe we should get one when we're living together. Well, I already have 2 of them. You've probably played a lot of visual novels, right? Most people wouldn't be willing to play something called Doki Doki Literature Club so easily. Not that I'm complaining. Are visual novels literature? Are they video games? Why not both? Well, it all depends on your perspective. Most people who read only literature would never play visual novels, and gamers get pretty angry about them too. What's worse, some people think they're all hardcore Japanese pornography. But if we proved anything with this game, we showed them that English visual novels can be kami-gay too. Again, there's this, there's other than this, the big ones for me have been, of course, Danganronpa and Ace Attorney. Both of which, as you already know, I feel those series are excellent. Have you been drinking coffee lately? I hope it's not just to make me jealous. Coffee's such a nice thing to have when you need a little pep of energy. Oh yeah, she was talking previously about how she wished Yuri would make coffee instead of just tea all the time. Whether it's hot or cold, coffee's always nice. Iced coffee, however, tends to be sweeter and more pleasant to drink in warmer weathers. It's funny how a drink for giving you energy became a treat for you to enjoy. Maybe if I had some coffee, I could finally drink some. Did you know that you have more control over this game than I do? You have access to the game's files and code, right? So you can change them however you want. You could do things that even I can't, like changing how the game works entirely, from a visual novel to the peaceful playground we have now. You could also add more things to the classroom for me, like some flowers or a few good books. You could even add a cup of coffee to the game for me. Really, that'd be lovely. But I imagine your coding skills are just as good as mine. I guess that's an appeal to video games. Having almost endless possibilities in a world you can interact with. It's pretty difficult to get bored. Even if you don't quite know how to change this game, we can still enjoy this world that brought us together. There's no better way to enjoy a game than to be with the one I love. Alright though, I think we're going to... Actually, I think I'm just going to call it a part here, and I'll see you guys next time. So I hope you're enjoying this so far. I will see you next time.
I'm playing a game.